Welcome to FranchiseWire Live, your source for all things franchising. Remember to subscribe to FranchiseWire Live on YouTube. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And for the latest in news, events, and happenings in franchising, bookmark FranchiseWire.com. Now here's the host of FranchiseWire Live, IFPG President, Red Boswell.
Welcome back, gang. Red Boswell with FranchiseWire Live. Excited about another episode, talking all things franchising, and we're joined by a great friend. See, that way or that way? He's that way on my screen. Tom Epstein. You've seen Tom on here back when we were doing COVID-19 Franchise Leaders Respond. He gave some great insights. So I asked Tom to come back, share with us the insights he's seeing in franchising. And this man has some really unique purview of what's happening because he runs the CEO founder of Franchise Payment Network, the largest franchise payment system in franchising, and Poln8, which is a loyalty building platform. And what am I doing telling you what he does? Tom, welcome to the call today. Love to learn more about what you do and to give guys perspective on your businesses.
Thanks, Red. I appreciate it. And I'm glad to be back and talking to your group of consultants and franchisors. So started Franchise Payments Network about 15 years ago in January. So wow. January 2006, we work with about 190 franchise brands across the US and international. And then Poln8 is our loyalty platform that we rolled out. We've been doing loyalty for probably 10 years, but we spun it out to its own platform about 2 years ago and kind of reimagined loyalty at that time into what we think people want loyalty to be in the future, not what it was in the past, which was a very passive program where you're just rewarding people for doing something they were normally doing anyway. We want to reward people for doing things that they haven't done yet. So rewarding customers to come back more often, spend more money, but more importantly, turn the customer into a brand advocate. And instead of being a net promoter, being a real promoter, and bringing their friends and family back into the business so you can grow your customer base. So that's what we do.
Well, that's what all brands are trying to get more of nowadays with apps and frequent buyer cards and everything in between. So when you talk about loyalty, I think the Starbucks app, that's kind of right. That's where we're at. Yeah.
Well, that's the corner or the intersection between payments and loyalty is that whole Starbucks model, which we have as well, where you have an app that the consumer downloads to their phone or whatever. You build that brand identity, so you've got the brand name on the phone. You prepay for product like Starbucks does, so you've got your own account there. And it almost is like you're not spending money when you go in to get that coffee every morning on your way to work because you've already paid for it. So even if you pass another coffee place on the way, you're not going to stop there because you've already paid for the coffee at Starbucks. So you're going to continue to go back there, right?
Are you watching me?
Yeah.
You see me every morning.
I know. I got you. But so that's kind of that model in the app is you're not only getting the payment, so you're saving a ton of money on your payment processing fees because when you top up, you're topping up at say $50 or $100, whatever the consumer wants, instead of the individual $8, $9, $10 transaction one at a time with that transaction fee. There's only one transaction fee. So now you're cutting your payment processing costs and you're locking that customer in and making them a long-term customer for you, gaining a larger share of their wallet. You don't want them to go to the other place. You want them to only come to you. So.
Of course. Well, it's working well with me on any of those apps that I use, and no doubt everybody else listening today. So understanding what FPN Poln8 does, 190 brands, I had no idea. So that gives you very unique insights into trends, into what's hot, what's not. Help us understand some of that. What interesting things can you share with us?
Well, I think the biggest thing that's been so interesting to me throughout this whole new environment with COVID and the economy downturn, and guys, I said this before, if you're watching the news, turn it off. It's got to be you got to be going nuts with the negative news and all that. Early on in COVID, everybody was panicking, from a business standpoint, and people were not, they were shutting their doors and trying to figure out how to be open. And when we look at that, and you're right, we do have such a diverse portfolio of clients. So we have restaurants, we have retail, we have men in a truck, the service type guys, we have hair salons and fitness, gyms and things like that. So we have all across the board. And so obviously certain industries were impacted more than others. If I look at our processing year over year, so if I compare this month to last month last year, right? And that's what I've been doing through the whole COVID thing. And I've been putting reports on LinkedIn so people could see, just a snapshot of franchising. It wasn't all that surprising that in April, franchising took a big hit, right? I think we were down same store sales, the processing volume of our entire portfolio together, about 35%, which is pretty dramatic. But if you would have listened to the news in April, you probably would have thought it would be down 75 or 80%, right? They would say that nobody was open. So, franchisors and franchisees more in particularly it's their livelihood, right? So I think what they did was they learned how to adjust very, very quickly, figure out what the laws were in their state, their city, their county, whatever it was, and find a way around them, right? Because in May, we started already seeing a comeback. In May, we were down, I think it was 15 to 20%. I'd have to go back and check my notes. But the interesting thing, when you go to June of 2020 was actually up 2% over June of 2020 or 2019. In 2019, we didn't have COVID. We didn't have murder hornets. We didn't have aliens landing. We didn't have an
riots.
Year. We didn't have riots. We didn't have any of this stuff, right? And we were actually up. Now, I'm not happy with 2%. I would be more happy with 20 or 30%, but I told somebody this morning, I'm like, up is up, right? And we're very happy with up, right? And then in July, we were up about 6 or 7%. It was like 6.6%. July of 2020 over July of 2019. Same store sales. So that's the same guys that were open last year that are open this year, and they're up 6%. Now you start looking at it, and certainly some industries are better than others that are driving that. But it's also, I think, a little bit of consumer behavior too. I think as people have been out of work or people have been, put on part-time status, not working as much, or, whatever it is, they might be using more credit cards because we're only seeing credit card data, right? We're not seeing cash data. We're not seeing check data. We do ACH processing, so we see that, but we don't see a real physical check that somebody would write. We don't see that. But I think we're going to see those trends, and we'll have more information on that as we get more data over the next couple of months. We're going to see a lot more of those trends and more of the data to be able to analyze and see what's going on. Because what we're seeing, the guys that are open, they're learning how to do business in this new environment. They want to move to touchless, right? So they don't want to take cash. So does that mean that their business is really up 6%? Or does that just mean maybe their business is flat or down a little bit, but they're using more credit cards? We don't know that yet, but we'll start to learn those things as we go forward over the next couple of months.
Okay, Tom, so something I keep hearing more and more about, certainly with 3 teenagers, I get even a bigger purview on it, is non-credit card digital purchases. The apps outside of the loyalty apps, the Google Pay and the Apple Pay, or all the other names for the different payment options. What percent of your business falls in those categories, and how fast is that going to take over?
Well, what's interesting is you don't really see, it's hard for us to track where did the transaction come from, whether it came from an online purchase, an in-app purchase, or somebody doing an invoice through, QuickBooks or whatever system they're using. But I was looking at this last week, and 85% of all transactions that we ran in July were run non-face-to-face, meaning it wasn't swiped or dipped or whatever. So 85% of those transactions are either being done through that app, like the Starbucks app, We have a lot of customers that we've deployed those types of apps for recently. And it's like the man in the truck, we used to sell a lot of the, like the square thing where you plug into the phone or whatever and they swipe it right there. A lot of people don't want to do that anymore. They're just sending a payment link to the consumer. They click on the link and they enter their credit card number and they pay that way. So they don't have to touch the card. They don't have to touch anything, right? So we're seeing a huge increase in non-face-to-face, what I would say, well, it might still be face-to-face, but non-swiped or dipped transactions. So it was about 85%.
That's huge.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So are the Apple Pays of the world and their competition, do they bypass you? I mean, can you,
Yeah.
So
no, we work together.
franchisor says, I want to start taking these touchless pay options, app type payment plans. Y'all handled all that too.
Yeah. So it's not a competitive situation. So what happens is, as a consumer, you're going to register your credit card on your phone with your Apple Pay app, right? And then when you go into a retailer or a restaurant, whatever, you just tap your phone against the little screen there, and it still goes through my merchant account, right? Or whoever the merchant provider is. So that doesn't take us out of the loop at all. But what it does is, where the adoption rates were really slow, like I was real excited when Apple Pay came out because I thought, oh, it's cool technology. And I had to go buy the new iPhone because my old phone didn't do it. And like, then I ran into problems finding retailers that I could actually do it with. And then I got bored with it. I didn't use it anymore. Right. Now I'm using it all the time because everybody's upgrading their hardware to allow for these touchless payments. A lot of people don't even know, like chip cards was the big thing, a year ago, right? We got to have our machines chip enabled. Well, every terminal that we deployed that was chip enabled, we also had it RFID enabled so that you don't have to dip the chip, right? You just tap the chip on the corner of the machine and it goes through. So think about that as a consumer. That's so much better for you as a consumer, because if you dip the chip, you might still have to press something on the keypad, right? Touch it.
Right.
You might still have to sign the keypad, right? Depending on what software they're using. But if you go in the grocery store or wherever you go and you just hold your chip card against the little icon on the machine, you don't do anything. You don't enter a PIN number. You don't have to do anything. You just click, it beeps, and you walk out. Touchless, completely touchless. And that technology has been around for 5-6 years, and we're just now adopting it because of COVID.
Or knowing about it.
And knowing about it. So the big thing now is consumers learning to use it, right? Most merchants have that ability today. They just don't even know it because the consumers don't know.
I feel like an old man all of a sudden real fast, man. Thank you. How does the Apple Pay work? You what? Sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get up to speed real quick, and this is never going to happen again. All right. What advice can you give the Zors out there for their organizations looking to stay up with the trends? And you gave some great advice, a few months back. I think we spoke in probably early April, and you were given some advice on ways to, some little things that can make a big difference, like something as no-brainer as selling a gift card and allowing the franchisee to actually sell the gift card rather than doing it through the corporate office. That is a blessing to the Z, allows you not to have to maybe give a royalty deferment. So everybody wins. Things like that, super valuable. Anything insights you can share with the Zors?
Yeah, what you're referring to is, when everybody was in a situation where business was slowing down and they were cutting back, what we tried to do was initiate a way for the franchisees to sell gift cards today, put that money in their pocket, and hopefully they would be redeemed in a month or two when business got back to normal, right? I think at this point, we've kind of got to the point where businesses have figured out, how are we going to be in business now? Yeah. I think, that time has passed. We helped a bunch of people with that. I don't think that that's necessarily something they had to do, because not necessarily something they need to think about now, because what we were doing was we stopped pooling. So in a normal environment, when you bought a gift card in store A, we would pool that money, that $50, $100, whatever it was, and put it into a central account that the franchisor would hold until that card is redeemed. And when it's redeemed in store A, B, C, D, it didn't matter. We would move the money back in because it was now a sale. For an accounting reason, the purchase of a gift card is not a sale. It's a liability, right? So until it's actually something that's done, it's not a sale. So what we were doing is we were enabling the franchisee to hold on to that money instead of doing the pooling so they could pay their bills and stay alive and keep going, right? I think we're kind of beyond that now. The big thing.
By the way, I can just imagine a small business owner hearing what you just said and going, yeah, I call my credit card guy. He's going to look at me like I'm a freaking alien if I ask him to do something like that. So I'm seeing why franchisors are using you when you know cool things like that and know how to structure it. So everybody wins. And then when that time is no longer necessary, you can move it back to the traditional approach. My CC guy would never have been able to figure that stuff out.
What do you mean you're a CC guy? We're not your CC guy.
Oh, back in the day when I was small, back in the day, of course you are today.
But, you know, what we're doing right now is, you know, around the payment space, it's all of that, like teaching the merchants or the franchisees what technology is available within their environment to make their customer feel more comfortable, right? So how can we do business today so that the customer feels like they're not touching something that they shouldn't be, or that something is sterile or clean or whatever it is that it needs to be in that environment, and making it more of a touchless environment, but still continue to have that engagement. And the other thing that we're doing on the Poln8 side of the business is we're talking to franchisors and franchisees about, you know, when you talk about a loyalty program, it's about rewarding consumers, right? So you're rewarding them for, and you know, the big basis of Poln8 is rewarding them for doing something that they wouldn't normally do. I think in this environment that we're just coming out of, you want to over reward those customers who have been loyal to you, right?
Yeah.
It's the consumer that still came to you, the consumer that drove to your restaurant and sat in a parking lot and waited for somebody to bring you your food out when they really wanted to eat out. It's the consumer that, you know, that went out of their way to still frequent your business. You need to reward them for being loyal through all this time, and make sure you lock them into your brand and make sure they know that you thank them for doing business with them and that they're appreciated and they're the reason why you stayed in business, because a lot of people didn't, right? So make sure they feel welcome, and that you know, if there's something you can do to boost the reward level for those people who had been in more frequently over the past couple of months than a casual diner or something, then do that, because that's going to lock them in, and that's going to make sure that you maintain that share of the wallet with them. And they come to you.
Is the local Z able to control the variable on how much they give, or what benefits, or what bonuses, or what is that? Is, I guess you could establish it either way, where the Zor has ultimate control of it all, or push it down to the local Z?
It comes in both flavors. It really just depends on the strategy or the control that the franchisor wants to have. But yeah, you can change on a daily basis or an hourly basis. Hey, I want to only give triple points on a pastrami and rye today, you know, whatever you want to do, right? And you can do that, or the franchisor can say, look, we're going to reward people. Hey, if you've been in 3 times a month, we're going to count it as 4 times instead of 3, or we can do different things like that too.
Happy hour is after 2.
Yes, it is. It 100% is.
Yeah, nice. These type of things excite me, because it's really a competitive advantage when a franchisor or a local business has information that they can put into the field and put into action. It's a margin increaser. It's a bringing more, you know, putting more, buying mama more shoes, you know? So I love this. Anything else, Tom? I don't even know what to ask you, bro.
I don't know either.
I mean, that's golden right there, but I didn't want to hold you back if you had more good insights. So where are we going to see each other next? You got anything on the calendar yet?
Hey, I haven't stopped. We keep going out there and visiting clients and going to places just because the shows haven't started. But maybe the next place that we actually have an event will be yours in Florida in January, right?
January 4th through 6th, Margaritaville Resort. You know it. Get a little plug there. You and I have been talking about doing an event together somewhere soon. I'm in Dallas. You said Dallas is a game for you. Maybe we'll do that, or Atlanta. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind, just picking a city like we talked about, Red, and let's just invite some of our local franchisors out and just get together and hash out some ideas and have a cocktail or two.
Safely, with masks and distance and all the rules. I posted a picture of me and some franchise pals kind of arm in arm recently, and got a little haters on there. Unfollow. He's not a safe guy, so you got to be careful.
You got to watch what you're doing, but just be careful and
respectful.
Don't take it too terribly serious. Business still has to happen out there, and
life has to go on.
You have to lead, and you have to make sure that your franchisees understand the safe way to do business in the environment that they're in. And as a vendor, my job is to help them figure these things out. And we're here to do that. And I know you are too in your organization. So,
well, appreciate you being part of FranchiseWire Live. Tom Epstein, you're a great friend and a leader in franchising. Pretty soon I'm going to start calling you the icon. But Franchise Payment Network, Poln8, you got a great team. Looking forward to seeing you, Lee, and the whole crew again real soon. And gang, thanks for joining FranchiseWire Live. Lots more, all things franchising coming at you real soon. Appreciate you joining us, and hope to see you in live and living color real soon too. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Red. Appreciate it.